on behalf of the People's National Congress, we form One Guyana. I congratulate the Honorable Minister of Finance on the occasion of the presentation of his fourth budget to the nation. Fortunately, sir, once again, the Honorable Minister has demonstrated his abandonment of the tenet of consultation as part of the preparatory process for the budget. This is a violation of both the spirit and letter of Article 13 of our Constitution. On the occasion of the last budget debate, there were noises on the government benches that consultations were continually ongoing in many areas and by many ministers and ministries. However, sir, none of those nor any other can be a substitute for direct consultations by the Honorable Minister of Finance with consumer organizations, labor, private sector stakeholders, including employers, and even opinion leaders in our society on such issues as taxation, its effect on consumers, prices, wages and salaries, fiscal and other incentives to private sector investors, reform of the tax regime, etc. I would therefore urge the Honorable Minister of Finance to return to what had become a tradition of consultation as part of the process of budget preparation. The thought is seldom far away, sir, that the current minister believes he does not need to engage in such consultation since he knows it all. Mr. Speaker, on the budget itself, the PNCR 1G's encapsulating observation would be the signal failure of the government to cast this budget, and indeed previous budgets, within a clear overarching strategy with clearly identified medium and long-term objectives. For example, Mr. Speaker, what are the targets for job creation over the next 5 years? And what of that number will be created in 2010? What are the projected levels of investment over the same period? And in what sectors? What, if any, tax reforms are to be implemented to create a more competitive and welcoming business environment for investors? And what in the medium term, sir, is the rate of economic growth we are striving for if Guyana is to attain its true and full potential and prosperity is to be realized? Sir, the average rate of growth over the last 5 years has been 2.8%. Is this really the basis on which we could seriously expect prosperity to be realized? I would think not. In the National Development Strategy, we were told that even with a growth rate of 6% per annum, we would be far from the forefront of even the developing countries. And in this regard, we should note, Mr. Speaker, that the People's Republic of China and India grew by 8.7 and 5.6% respectively in 2009. It is therefore not enough to tell us each year the budget is the largest ever, when each year we seem to cover little or no ground in putting this country on the sure road to prosperity. I will return to the economy later in my presentation. As regards our social sectors, Mr. Speaker, every year we are regaled with the billions being spent in and on them. We hear of the edifices being constructed, and sometimes we are told of personnel provided, training undertaken, and equipment put in place. But let us for a moment look at two sectors, sir. First, let us take the health sector. Between 2009 and 2010 alone, we will spend approximately US $130 billion in this sector. But surely, Mr. Speaker, the measure of success or progress in the sector ought not to, and indeed cannot, be measured by the mere expenditure of those large sums. The PNCR 1 Guyana, Mr. Speaker, with great modesty, suggests that the interests of citizens would be better served and the budget would have a more human face if qualitative targets are identified for fulfillment in the context of an overarching strategy. Targets in such areas as average life expectancy, infant mortality rates, suicide rates, etc. In education, Mr. Speaker, between 2009 and 2010 alone, we will have spent some 208 million US dollars. But Mr. Speaker, while 96% of the children of primary school age are enrolled in school, secondary school enrollment is at 69%. The remaining children are still enrolled in primary school or drop out altogether. There is also a significant differential. That is a lower rate of enrollment in the interior locations, and that's between males and females. We also know that the performance of our students at the examinations, especially in certain subjects, needs to be improved. Again, sir, the PNCR1 Guyana respectfully suggests that quantifiable, verifiable targets should be set in the budget as part of an overarching medium-term strategy. What about infrastructure, sir? Could we not categorize roads in various grades with a definition for each grade, the length of time each grade is expected to last, and the cost per mile? Of course, we will need to have a special category called election roads, the simple definition of which would be roads to last until the next election. This definition clearly already exists in the lexicon of the ordinary citizen. Interestingly, Mr. Speaker, 17 years into PPPC governance of Guyana, we hear the President warn hospitals and schools to up standards. He said that this year his administration has given the commitment of getting value for money for the huge investments made in key sectors like health and education. Specifically in education, he has been reported to have said, and I quote, "We can't just keep pumping all this money into the education sector and not getting the corresponding results." End of quote. Some would say, Mr. Speaker, that these are crocodile tears, closing the stable door after the horse has bolted. I, however, would say better late than never. Let's wait and see. I now wish to turn my attention, Mr. Speaker, to the Honourable Minister of Finance's presentation of statistics on the performance and or projected performance of the economy. A few examples would suffice to make the point, sir, that the Honourable Minister, by his presentation, probably concealed more than he revealed. At page 6 of the budget speech, he said the economy grew by 2.3% in 2009 and highlighted it was the 4th consecutive year of positive growth. What he did not reveal was that he had predicted real growth of 4.7% for 2009. Hence, the actual outturn was less than half of what was forecast. So much for the reliability of his forecast and growth. Also, at page 6 of the budget speech, we are told that 2009 sugar production amounted to 233,736 tons, an increase of 3.3% over the previous year. But what we were not told was that for 2009, the sugar production target was 290,000 tons, and that the outturn was approximately 20% below what was forecast. Further, the increase of 3.3% in 2009 production over 2008 has to be measured against the Minister's projection for a 28.2% increase in 2009 over 2008. As regards the statistics on rice, let me congratulate the rice farmers of Guyana on the achievement in 2009 of the highest annual production in a decade, a fact revealed by the Honourable Minister of Finance. What he did not reveal, however, was that the earnings of the industry as a whole was stagnant. Was that the earnings for 2000, he did not say so in his budget speech. I urge every one of you to go back and read it. And Prime Minister, can you find me the page, please? As a whole, we're stagnant on account of lower prices in the export markets.